Hey, Bill. Hey.
Hi.
You want to talk to me?
Sure.
Okay. I'm that annoying lady that walks around on the job site with a camera wanting to talk to people.
Got it, not me.
All right, so talk to us. All right, let's first of all admire the beautiful screen work that has been done. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens, and we have one more left. So Bill, why don't you talk to us fairly loudly so we can hear you about how to properly install a screen. What's important to keep in mind whenever you're installing a screen?
Step one, if you're replacing old screen and there's putting new screen on where an old screen was, make sure that you have a flat surface, that there's no indentations or things that are going to gouge it. You put it on the new screen like that nail that's right there.
Mm-hmm. So Bill, I was noticing a lot of hammering happening earlier. Why do you do that?
Any bumps or ruffles or indentations on here, like these old staples, instead of pulling them all out, you can just flatten them. So when you put the new screen on it, it doesn't poke through your new screen. So first of all, you want to flatten it. Anything that's sticking out, you want to flatten it, or you can take your sweet old time pulling out every stinking staple. That'll be the month of Sundays. Some people like to do that. You can get away with it just by flattening out the old staples.
So if you didn't hear that over the hammering, basically what he's doing, instead of pulling out every single little previous staple from the old screening and nail, he went ahead and just hammered it in so it's flat, so it provides a flat surface for us for installation. All right, what's next, Bill?
After you've flattened out all the surfaces, you can run your finger very carefully over it, make sure that they're all flat or flush with the old existing 2x4s, and pull off any fuzzes that you see. Pull those suckers off. Second, you want to make sure you have a heavy duty screen. If you're doing an opening that's this big, this is roughly 6 by 6 feet wide, 6 feet tall, so 6 feet wide, a little under, a little over. And when you're doing something this big, you want to go with a heavier material that you can stretch very easily without having to rip it. Because you can go with a cheaper material, but you pull it, especially to get it tight like this, where you can almost bounce a quarter off of it, it can rip. So that's the material you use.
That's one tight screen. Awesome. All right, so when you're installing it, Bill, what would you say the most important things? So we've got the surface prepped, we've chosen the right screen based on the opening, it's a little bit thicker. Now, what do you have to keep in mind while you're installing it? First of all, is this a one-person job?
For a screen this big, you want to use 2 people. If they were smaller, little 2 feet by 2 feet screens, you could do it yourself. But when you're doing a 6 by 6 opening, it's better to have 2 people. Normally, you can start out the screen on a roll, wherever that roll is. Put it, unwind it a little bit, and then this is an old cut-off roll, so it's not going to fit the entire way. You line it up across the top. Make sure there's an equal amount of sides, equal amount of distance on both sides, so it's about even, and that you're not collywonked like that. You want to make sure this is somewhat level. Same amount of spacing here, same amount of spacing here. You start at the top, you work it across, stapling it across the top, all the way over, pulling it somewhat, keeping it square. Then you start on one corner, go down a little bit, and you start on the other, and you go from there to over here. You pull it tight, you pull this down, you make like a U-shaped looking thing with staples, and you work down one side a little bit. Then you come over here, pull it, work down the other side, and just keep going back and forth, all the way to the bottom. And once it's at the bottom, you let it hang over. You can rough cut it, and once you have it rough cut at the bottom, you can slowly pull it tight, and it'll pull any bumps or ripples that you have out of it.
Excellent. So one thing to keep an eye on that we really focus on is making sure that every single little staple that you put in, you want to make sure that the screen is completely flat before you staple it. Because Bill, what's going to happen if you staple a ripple in place? Will it go away?
You'll just making your life harder, not easier.
Yeah, so you're going to have to remove the staple and do it over again, and it's a whole big to-do. So we just encourage you to take your time with screen installation and make sure that it's totally perfect on the surface before using that nail gun. So what are you using? You're not using nails. What are you using to staple it?
I'm using an air compressor 5/8 nail gun, staple gun.
There we go. Pretty high powered.
You, but yeah. And also what you want to do is you set the gauge on this thing to when you staple it, it doesn't go all the way through. It just comes to the surface, because if it shoots all the way through, it will not work. So you want to make it flush with the screen.
And Bill, why are these staples slightly crooked? What do you find?
Sometimes you got to put them on a slight angle because it grabs it better.
Yeah. So one thing that you might want to try is if you're putting it up and down, or you're putting it totally side to side, it tends to slip through the screen easier. So we call this the kill shot. When you turn the gun slightly to the side, you want to show us what that looks like, Bill? Ready? Kill shot. There you go. Slightly to the side, and that will allow for the staple to grab the screen much better than being in a different direction like that. Yep. Excellent. Anything else, Bill? Let's get to work. All right. Thanks for joining us. We will show you the finished product soon. Bye-bye.